Hey everybody, Dustin Schmidt back here again. Today I want to talk about my Red Komodo build and why I think this is probably one of the most versatile Komodo builds that you'll see out there. I think there are some key pieces on this that you may not see everywhere else. Some stuff that's probably going to be familiar. And then just kind of how I have rigged this together and my thought process behind the way that I've structured this for what I would call maximum flexibility. So this is the rig fully built, and this is really more of a handheld setup slash tripod slash easy rig setup that you could do as well. And I don't always have it fully built up with all of these parts. It really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're going to be on a dolly or tripod all day, you really don't need any of the grips or things like that. If you're going to be on a gimbal, you would obviously strip it way down compared to what's here. And even for an easy rig or something like that, I would take a lot of these parts off. But this is kind of the fully built all-purpose rig that can kind of do anything. It can easily go from one thing to the other. And for somebody like me who does a lot of corporate and kind of B-roll type stuff, interview things, this is a very versatile package, and it allows me to move quickly from one thing to the other. So let's strip it down now. And let's come back and let's just build it up piece by piece and go through what's on here and talk about some of that. All right, so here it is mostly broken down. I'm not going to unscrew every little bracket or every little piece because I think that's kind of just a waste of time to show you, but I will try to talk about it in turn here. So at the basic level, we've got the Komodo, which is just this small little square, 4x4x4 square, right? See if I can get a close up there. There we go. And you usually need to put some stuff on this to rig it. And there's a bunch of different cages you can get, a bunch of different parts. And I honestly think that you probably shouldn't have just one cage for this. There's probably different situations where it helps to have multiple different top plates or side plates or things like that. As much as I'd like to just get one thing that works for all of it, there's situations where I think it helps to have the other ones. So that's probably something that I'll look into here. At the moment, what I have on here is the bright tangerine parts. So I've got the bright tangerine top plate right here. I've got the two bright tangerine side plates on here. And then I've got a couple extra pieces on there. I've got a couple cold shoes on either side. These are just like a small rig cold shoe here. And then this might be like a camvate part, which is a cold shoe that has a 3/8 screw as opposed to a 1/4-20. Also got a rosette that screws into the 3/8 here with locating pins because the bright tangerine side plate does not have a built-in rosette. That's one thing I kind of wish that it did have. So that's the basic kind of surrounding cage that goes around this Komodo. On the front, Komodo's got the RF mount. I've just got the basic Canon EF to RF adapter here. Just their one that doesn't have any of the electronics, just kind of the dummy adapter that comes with the Komodo if you kind of buy the kit. I have other adapters for this that I use at times. I have like the Mikey one that has the built-in Varian D. Use that if I want to keep things really small, but I'll kind of show you what I use when it's going a little bit bigger. On the bottom, I've got the bright tangerine sliding base plate here for DJI Ronin, and that's so that you can easily take off just this part, the basic Komodo, and slide it straight into a Ronin. So when you want to go small, it's already there, and I'll show you how that kind of integrates with some of the other pieces and helps with balance and stuff like that. But that's kind of the basic parts of the Komodo, right? Oh, and almost forgot, I've also got these little strap lugs here. These are quick detach parts here. Then I think Bright Tangerine might make their own. You can get them from a couple other people, but these are from Mutiny. I've got a couple other Mutiny parts here that I kind of like, and I bought these Mutiny ones just because they were kind of the cheapest ones I could find. I think these were 15 bucks. So if you want to go real low profile and you just want to throw a strap on this and keep it small, then these are kind of nice, and I just leave them on. to kind of build out the rest of the base here. So again, you need a bigger base plate setup the more stuff you're going to put on the Komodo. As you start to add the lens and follow focus and wireless and matte box and any of that stuff, then you kind of need some extra pieces, or at least some rails, you know, to kind of put on that. So what I have here is the Bright Tangerine left field 15 millimeter lightweight standard base plate and some Bright Tangerine rods here. I think these are just their drumsticks that they call them. And you can get different bases for this. And the way this base works is that it's basically a riser that gives you the correct height for the 15 mil lightweight standard. And this insert here integrates with the DJI riser on the Komodo. So you slide that on, has some safety catches on each end so that doesn't come off, and then you can tighten that down to lock it all in place there. So that now gives you a more solid base to kind of hang and mount stuff off of. But like I said, the other thing that's nice is when you want to put this on a Ronin, which invariably you'll probably do, then all you have to do is slide this out, loosen that, release your safety catch, and now this can go straight onto a gimbal. So that's kind of why I got that set up like that, for that ease of use. Now, obviously, you need to power the whole thing. It comes with the old school Canon BP batteries that go on here, and I have a couple of those for when I want to go really lightweight and small. But it's not functional to use those to power, again, all the other accessories and GAC and stuff that you need. So I picked up this little part right here, which may be one of the favorite things that I have on here. And this is the Mutiny IO for Komodo. And the way it works is you've just got your two BP, mounting areas here. These are just plastic or whatever this is made out of. It's a super solid material. Those go in here, and then you've got your two plugins here to go into your ports, into your power and into your EXT port. And then that then gives you a bunch of extra ports on here that you can use. So this just pops right onto there, or does if I can get it seated correctly. Okay, and then once that's locked into place, you're just going to take your two screws here, not screws, but your ports. Your EXT goes in there, your DCN goes in there, and now when you attach a V-mount to here, it's going to power all these ports and the camera and everything else that comes off of there. So that makes it really nice. Now, the other kind of thing that's buried in here that you really got to take care of is this SDI port. And we know that the SDI is pretty fragile with the Komodos. You hear a lot of stuff about people frying their SDI port. To be fair, that occurs with a lot of cameras that have a 12G SDI. But what you want to be doing is proper protocol of hooking that stuff up. But this is hard to get to, especially once you have all this stuff on here. So this other part that I have from Mutiny is what they call their little 12G pigtail. See if I can get a shot of that here for you. And this is just a cool little, right angle to straight 12G SDI that you can put in here. And now, when it's time to attach and detach your SDI, you've got a much more accessible spot that you can get access to that to. You're not constantly digging under here. So this has really been amazing. I have loved this. And it doesn't stick out that far, not any further than any of the other stuff that's on here, and it just makes life way, way easier when it comes to that. Battery, I use V-mounts to power a lot of this stuff. I've got a variety of different ones. This one's an IDX, 150. That just snaps right into your power here. And now we've got power running to all the ports, to the camera, The plate's got a bunch of cool stuff on it. It gives you a power readout. Since this does not communicate with the Komodo's battery readout, this gives you a little digital gauge on here that tells you how much power you've got left in your battery. So that's super nice. So we've got power, everything's rolling on that. We've got our basic base plate set up. Now if you wanted to, you could take this and put this directly on an airy dovetail. So this is an airy dovetail standard here. And they've got this little quick release here that allows you to pop things completely off. It allows you to slide or to just open up and rotate this off. So if I'm going to be on a tripod or on a dolly or something like that and I don't need to move this around a bunch, this is probably going to go straight onto a dovetail. You know, I'll center more things over the camera here and we'll just build off of that. But to take you to kind of that earlier setup that you saw, what I like to do is put this on a VCT shoulder plate. So this is the Rush Designs VCT plate. I've talked about this before. In fact, I've got a whole video just on this base plate. I think it's the best VCT base plate you can buy for a bunch of different reasons, but I suggest you go check that video out if you're interested in that. So basic base plate. I've got some additional short 15 mil rods on here. Those are for hand grips. I'll show you that. And then we've got this super low profile airy dovetail here that the Bright Tangerine is going to interface with. So as you can see, you don't have to slide it on. It just snaps. It snaps straight on like this. So it goes on. I'll see if I can turn this around so you can see. And then this clamps and locks in place. So now that's clamped to our setup here, which is pretty nice. Okay, so we've got camera, we've got base plate, we've got shoulder pad. Let's put a lens on here. I own mostly EF lenses, so that's why I have this adapter. Of course, the beauty is if you got PL, whatever, you can put all kinds of that stuff on here. This is a Canon 18-80. It's a great kind of docu-style lens that I use a lot when I'm doing B-roll stuff, especially outside or for daylight stuff. It's a combination. It has a nice mix of auto features as well as manual stuff. But we'll use it today for this demonstration. So Canon 18-80 on there. If I'm doing anything that is more narrative-ish, or I want to pull focus or have some lenses that are geared, this is the follow focus that I use. This is the Bright Tangerine Revolver Atom follow focus. So there it is. Now this is a pretty beefy follow focus, as you can tell, but it's very high quality. It's very modular. It does kind of everything that you need it to do. It can go from one-man band stuff to, having an AC or whatever that is. So a little bit overkill for this setup, but again, I like the capability that it gives me. One thing that I always try to, prescribe to when I'm buying any kind of gear is this adage, if you've heard of buy once, cry once. And essentially what it means is I only want to buy something one time. I don't want to buy multiple versions of the same thing. I don't want to buy a cheap tripod and then a year later when I need to and it's time to upgrade, buy a really expensive tripod or follow focus or batteries or monitor or whatever that is. The cry once part comes from when you buy it and it costs, a gazillion dollars and you cry a little bit as you pay that bill, but at least you're buying it one time. It's always more expensive to buy cheap stuff and then just keep buying stuff after. So follow focus goes on the rods there. It goes on your 15 mil, lightweight standard. And now I've got a follow focus. Again, nice for sticks or whatever. The other thing that I think is kind of nice about the way this is set up, let's say I did need to just drop out this handheld rig, because the follow focus and all that is on the 15 mil standard, this still just pops right off and the follow focus is still there. So again, it keeps things super, super modular. Pop that back on. Hand grips. So when I go shoulder mounted with this, I like to have a nice set of grips that I can hold on to. A couple different parts to this hand grip setup that I'm going to pop on. I've got this wooden ball. This is called a Kino ball. You can go to, I think, like kinoball.com or just search Kino ball and you'll find the guy that makes them. Handmade by, a dude who just, is a camera guy, has experience in this. Not super mass produced, super high quality, fantastic little grip. I like this ball over here because it allows me a space to rest my hand and provide support, but I can also get access to the lens if I need to and kind of give that extra support. On this side, I've got a rat grip. Also very cool little thing that I don't see talked about that much. I think this guy's based in like the UK or somewhere. It's kind of a cork handled rubber, grip deal. Has an airy rosette. I bought this as part of a different kit that he makes called the chainsaw handle, which is real cool. Not currently on here. I should talk about that separately, but you may go check that out. And then I've got this tiny little Zacuto piece, which is just a 15, airy rosette to airy rosette. Has their button that allows you to adjust very quickly, hands and tools free, the orientation of this. All of that is attached to a small rig 15 mil airy rosette bracket. I like this one from small rig because it's angled, so it kind of just takes your grip and angles that in a little bit depending on which way you have it. I've got mine what you might call upside down because it then angles the rosettes out and angles my grips in a little bit. I like that over grips that are like way out here. I don't really like that. If I wanted to do that though, I could just flip this upside down and now the grips, angle out the other way instead of angling in. So also the thing that's nice about having this on a rosette that easily rotates like that is that after I pop this on here and tighten that down, if you want to set this down flat, you can do that because all you have to do is rotate that grip up and now you can set this flat on a table. So just to kind of show you that, I'm operating like this, handles are down. It's time to set this down for a little bit, give your back a rest, rotate that up if I have my top handle on like I should, and now you can just set it down. So big plus to that setup. All right, let's talk about this top handle. A bunch of pieces to this thing. And so let's go through and talk about them. At the basic level of what this is the Bright Tangerine top handle. It is a NATO top handle that mounts directly to their NATO top rail here. It slides, so you can adjust the thumb screw here and slide the handle back and forth within this bracket. What I've done is I've actually added an extension piece to here. This is an extension piece that I already had. It's from Small Rig, and it just screws onto the extension area, which is basically an airy, 3/8 with locating pins that allows you to make the handle longer. This one from Small Rig does fit on that, although you'll see it's not a perfect fit. Kind of has a different dimension so that it doesn't allow me to keep sliding this, but it does its job, which is to extend the handle. What I don't like with handles is a super short handle that doesn't give you area to grip once you put all the stuff that you need on there. I feel like you really need a nice handle where you can grip anywhere when you're handing this off to somebody, when you need to get it on and off your shoulder, when you want to go low and kind of hold the camera down. You need area to grip to. So Bright Tangerine handle. I've also got the 15 mil lightweight bracket on the top there. So this little part here. which I think is great if you want to run, you know, follow focus or something off a rod here on the top. It can free up some of your space down along the bottom. It just gives you options basically. Other thing I've got on here is this little extension piece here. And it's a 3/8 area 3/8 with locating pins as well, and then gives you this kind of cheese plate off the back here that you can rig almost anything you want to. And I'm going to use it to put a wireless transmitter up here. I can't remember exactly who makes this right now. I will go back and check, and I'll put that in the description and up on the screen here somewhere, so you can check that out for yourself and go order it. I've also got a little small rig NATO rail attached to the top here, and that's so that I can add this little 15 mil NATO to 15 mil rod piece from small rig as well. So, and then finally, lastly, to round it out, I've got a Wedgie 2 right here on the front, which is a, you know, fantastic little piece of kit that allows you to do quick release stuff. Has a bunch of different options and things you can do with it, but I'll link to Wedgie as well. They do a great job. So detach this little quick detach. Handle goes on the top here. And tighten that down. And you can really see what like a big handle this is, right? Like this is a two-handed handle. You can really get stuff on this. These cameras get heavy. And again, I like to have a good, robust solution for that stuff there. Let's talk monitor. So I use a 7-inch monitor most of the time. I prefer that because it's just more screen real estate. You can see your image a little bit bigger. You can catch problems before they arise later in post. This one's a small HD 702 touch, and it's got also a Wedgie 2 on it. So I've got two different Wedgie 2s, and they kind of allow me to interface with the handle and with the monitor and do some different stuff. All right, articulating arm here to connect the monitor to the handle. I've got a second Wedgie 2 on there, and the way I've got this that works is to just take that, quick release snaps into that, monitor, quick release snaps into there, boom, articulate this all around, lock it down, perfect. So if this is on a tripod and I'm, you know, looking at monitor like this, great. But if now I want to put this on my shoulder, that doesn't work so well all of a sudden, right? The monitor's up here and this is on my shoulder. So I needed a way to get this monitor out in front. I like to operate on the shoulder with a monitor. I'm not an eyepiece guy. I've tried it. I've owned some really nice ones. I owned the one that Zacuto Chameleon for a while, and it doesn't work for me. I couldn't make it work. So now I'll show you where this comes in handy, this little bracket that I had up top. So I had this little 15 mil clamp here. Here what I've got is a 15 mil rod and a extra long NATO rail from Wooden Camera. And then I've got a articulating monitor mount here from Small Rig. And now watch what you can do when you combine these things. So this is going to go on top here, tighten down. And now what I can easily do is, because of the quick release nature of this, pop this off. It's got a 1/4 on the side. Screw that 1/4 into here. And now when I go to shoulder mounted here, now I've got my monitor out in front. This articulates so I can move it up and down. I can adjust the angle on it very quickly. And a bonus of this, if you want to leave stuff built, is this actually folds in. So now when this goes to go in a bag, I just fold the monitor in, go straight in the bag, you get on location, pull it out, monitor comes out, and you're ready to roll on the shoulder. So also you can kind of see now what I mean about having this ball here and the ability to easily adjust between where your hand's at and kind of where your follow focus is. So put that back down. So again, if I'm doing shoulder mounted stuff, monitor's out here. If I'm doing tripod or you know, something else, you know, maybe easy rig, monitor's probably going to be up here. Let's talk about some of the other parts here. What do you do for audio on the Komodo, right? Komodo does not have the best audio solution. The preamps are not very good internally. For me, as somebody that wants to use this camera as an interview camera, as a, you know, run and gun kind of docu-style camera, I need to get good audio into the camera. I'm not always working with a sound guy. In fact, very rarely work with a sound guy. I just kind of do that myself. So I did some research and I found somebody that was using the Tascam adapter for the Canon R5C and using that into the Komodo. Now, I also own a Canon R5C, so this made a lot of sense for me as opposed to something like a MixPre 3 or MixPre 6, which are completely way better audio solutions to record, you know, external audio, and also would have an out if I wanted to go into Komodo. But they're a little bigger than this, and I wanted something I could mount directly on my Komodo quickly when I wanted to go to do something like this. So put together a little bracket with some parts that I had laying around. This is another 15 mil rod. We've got a Zacuto 15 mil rod, kind of right angle adapter. Lets you adjust the angle and everything. And then I've got another short 15 mil rod and a cold shoe over here. And all I do with this is hook the whole thing up into this bracket here, into our 15 mil bracket on our handle. Tighten that down. Now I've got a real solid connection that allows me to adjust the angle. I put my Canon Tascam adapter here. It goes into this cold shoe on the side. Tighten that down right there. And then take the 3.5 mil cable and go from the out of the preamp into the microphone and on the Komodo. And what that's allowed me to do now is use the preamp here, which is a much better preamp. You know, modulate all that stuff before it gets into the Komodo. Gives me 2 channels of XLR audio now on the Komodo, and also gives me phantom power. So I like to run a good shotgun mic when I'm doing any kind of shoulder mounted, you know, docu stuff. This is a Sennheiser MKH8060, fantastic mic. Goes into that little bracket here, and now goes down into the Tascam. And now I've got kind of documentary style sound, or when I'm on a tripod and I need to power a, you know, a boom mic, this also allows me to do that straight from camera. So that's that kind of setup. Last thing that I've got here is a wireless transmitter. This is actually a Teradek Cube 655 for use with transmitting proxies up from camera to cloud. I don't always do that, but when I do, this is on here. Or conversely, if you just need a Teradek, you know, 4K or any kind of Teradek to just send a signal to a client monitor, you can replace this with that. So this finally goes on the back, you know, this kind of bracket piece here. Just attached with Velcro there. And now you've got kind of the full setup. Also got all the cables here. I should talk about cables because I think cable management's important. And not just cables, but how are you going to power all this stuff, right? I don't want to run multiple battery systems to power all this stuff. I want to power everything off of just my V-mount battery. And earlier I touched on the Mutiny IO and how great that is, and I think you're going to see some of that right now. So Mutiny IO has a couple different ports. It's got DTAP. It's also got 2-pin LEMO. I prefer the LEMO. I'm trying to transfer all my stuff over to 2-pin LEMO. Haven't quite got there yet, but I'm getting close. So one of the things I didn't talk about on this small HD monitor is I've got another extra part here by Cine Parts, which is a company out of Scotland. They make this little MPF to LEMO adapter, which weighs nothing. Goes in here on the back into one of my battery slots. And now I can run a 2-pin LEMO to power my monitor back here. So 2-pin LEMO goes back there, and then run that cable around and over to one of these 2-pin power outs. See if you can get a shot of that on my Mutiny IO. And now I've got power to the monitor. The really nice thing about the Mutiny IO is they've really thought about how it works compared to some of the other battery adapters I've seen for the Komodo. For example, this 2-pin LEMO, it's angled so that it comes out at an angle to the side here and does not obstruct the screen, because we need to use the Komodo screen to navigate the menu, things like that. So it just kind of keeps it clean and clear over that. Now I've got a lot of stuff on here, so it's still not perfectly accessible to get to the screen, but you can get in there and you can hit all the buttons and do what you need to do and see it still. Second thing, we've got power now to the monitor, but we need picture. So I've got a just 12G SDI cord. This one's made by Mutiny IO as well. They'll do custom lengths, which is important, because if you want to get all the way out here, and the other important thing I think with the custom lengths is this is a decently long cable. This cable reaches all the way from having a monitor way out here in front of you on your shoulder all the way back to this pigtail here. So most cords probably won't reach that far. And then this goes to what I talked about earlier, that when I need to get to this SDI, I'm not fumbling around under here trying to get to it. It's just right there. All I got to do is connect that. When it comes time to disconnect, easy peasy, right? So love that aspect of it. Need to power the Teradek, of course. So Teradek's also 2-pin LEMO. This is where I talk about I'm trying to get all my stuff swapped over to 2-pin. Right now this is a 2-pin to DTAP. There is a DTAP on the Mutiny IO, so I can just plug that in there. Now this has power, and then I'll do a loop out from my monitor over to my Teradek. So actually I got my cords kind of reversed here from where I want it. I want to talk quickly about this cable, actually, which I didn't. This is a cable made by Cable Flexor, and they also do custom cables, and it has these extended SDIs here. So I can grab this SDI from all the way back here where this red cap is, and it just makes it so much easier to reach in here. It's so hard to get. You're squirming around in there trying to get to everything, and sometimes it's just impossible, right? And when I want to move this back up here, which I do right now because I don't have my other SDI cable that's a little longer, move that to there, SDI loop out to our receiver, our transmitter, sorry. And now I've got power to monitor, power to the tear deck, power to camera. The phantom power on the Tascam here comes from AA batteries that just go into this audio unit. You swap those before you get started for the day. Use the NIMH, the nickel metal hydride ones. They run for over 4 hours. You know, swap them out again at lunch, and you can get through basically a day with just a battery swap on that. So I actually prefer AA's for some of this stuff because they're readily available, and if you get in a pinch and you need to grab some more, you always can. So that's the full rig setup right there. Kind of a real big rig, fully featured kind of rig, but hopefully you see how it can also be really modular. All right, that's it for me today. Let me know how you rig your Komodo. Let me know some of the special parts or things that you think makes your life easier. Let me know about any questions about this rig. Leave them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them, and we'll see you next time.